Oddly enough, when I think of the persecuted church, I think of people running from kidnappings and trying to flee murders. And we heard all of those stories. I heard those stories when I was here. But what I found so odd is that the people coming from the persecuted church, they're still just people. I think they want to just know their brothers and sisters in Christ. I think they want us to pray for them, but they just need also our presence and our love.
We've seen persecuted Christians in the places where they live and in the places where they work. They're such a humble people, such a loving people. You know, you can just tell that they're richly blessed by the fact that we've taken the time to come and visit.
It seems that whatever Christians we've been talking to, either them, their family, or their friends have gone through actual persecution for following Christ. And we just came from a village where we heard a story of 3 men who accepted Christ, and their neighbors found out, and they were beaten for it, and one of them moved out of the country just to be safe.
And another situation that we've discovered while we are here was the funeral of an American teacher, and he was not ashamed of his faith. He constantly put his faith out there in front of these kids, and he had recently, like a week ago, been killed, but God allowed him to have such an influence that 2,000 people flocked to his funeral. And even in his death, the name of Christ is being lifted up. And that is something that is profoundly, it's just mind-blowing to me.
I think some of the most inspiring things for me have been talking to a couple of the pastors and knowing what they've gone through, knowing what their families have gone through. You have to see a smile on their face and what is evidently just clearly the peace of Christ that is in them. Has spoken a lot to me that Christ gives them their ultimate peace and their ultimate security.
I've been inspired by people's faith. I talked to one girl, probably just a little bit older than me. She came from a horrific past. She was threatened by neighbors, by outsiders, by different religions. And the fact that she would stay faithful to Jesus in all these situations has inspired and encouraged me to go forward and to push on past some of my own valleys and to have a radiant faith the way she did.
I think what God has shown me here is that for Christians to grow stronger is something that's much bigger than me. That it's going to take a lot of time for me on my knees just in prayer, trusting that God is going to continue to work and to orchestrate among these Christians.
That is one thing I know I need to do more. I need to go home and pray for these people. Prayer works. When it comes down to it, prayer works. And a lot of times, I know for myself, it's kind of a last resort. That needs to be my first line of attack, lifting these people up in prayer and waging war in that way.
There is a deep need for Jesus to reveal himself in this land. He's been faithful to reveal himself, but there's so many people who still don't know him, and there's so many Christians who only know him in a very limited way. And I would ask that the church would pray for a deeper revelation of Jesus Christ in this place, for them to get a translated Bible, the full Old and New Testament, for them to see and savor Christ in a way that they have not in this land, I don't think maybe ever.
You know, in some ways the persecuted church and what's happening around the world, in some ways that's a very complicated story. There's so many different stories and so many different conflicts. In other ways, it's a very simple story. You know, Christians, wherever we are family. And we all understand family. We all know that we're called to support our family, and regardless of how big the challenge is. And you may think, you know, what could I do about it? But when the family's in need, we respond. I think it's 1 John 3:18 that tells us to show our love by our actions. And that's what we're here to do.
And I think anyone who hears a story, we have a responsibility to pray. Pray that this church here is strengthened. Pray for the pastors that they have wisdom, and ultimately pray that more people would meet Christ here.